welcome. Welcome to is this the first meeting of 2020? So welcome all, Happy New Year to you all. So we'll start with apologies for absence. Before we start, oh Sam!
Yes.
No, Sam.
Sam.
Got new guys, isn't he?
Oh, my web contact there, so that's okay.
Oh, right.
Just taking your notes today.
Yes. So, welcome. Apologies for absence. I look to my young colleague on the left.
Thank you, Chair. Councillors Ash, Davis, Clough, Goggin, Shearn and Monk.
Any others? Is that a lot? Okay, thank you. Emergency evacuation procedures. I have two esteemed colleagues to my right, three to my right actually, who will be advising.
Members, we're not expecting a fire alarm test today, so if it does go off, it will be for real. The exits available are one immediately in front of me to the left of the TV screen and one behind me. They lead outside in the congate on the front car park out on the front there.
Do we have any pecuniary declarations of interest? My understanding is that we are going to set, hopefully, the precept today, but because we're all residents, we have technically got an interest, but we are exempted by law from having to declare that.
That's indeed, Chair. If I could just mention at this stage as well, in relation to Item 12, there are a number of officers mentioned in the report itself. I don't think they have an interest in it, but they will be noted in the minutes as being related to the King Rankin.
I need to advise everybody here that the meeting is being video recorded and will be published on our YouTube channel. And by remaining in the meeting, we all agree that our images and voice recording can be posted thereon. Right. Two pieces of business from yourself. One is we are still short of some member champions. I think quite a lot of people have volunteered, so thank you very much for that, and the process will be very clear and the visit sorted out soon. But we are waiting for Bedminster, Blagdon, Clevedon, HQ, Hicksgate, Lansdowne, Portishead, Thornbury, Winscombe and Yatton. Richard.
Chairman, I've got a feeling the list you have is incomplete because CD has gone for Bedminster and I've been for Blagdon.
Well, I've got you down as Chew Magna, Richard. I'm happy to transfer you.
Yes, well, that was almost the nearest, but Chew Magna was. Sorry, yes.
So Chew Magna's located for you and Celia, you're going to do Bedminster.
Yeah.
So if we can record Celia as the chairman of Bedminster.
You're more than welcome to have more than one station.
Which ones were Bristol based again?
Not Bedminster. Hicksgate's very near Bristol.
I'll go for that one.
Lovely. Nice. It was a very smart new one as well. You got that one? I don't know. So any other offers, either email me or Emma. Thank you very much for that.
Chair, for me, just to add members, that when you do become a member champion, what you will receive for your station is your station risk profile, and that should provide you with general information around the station and also the performance figures for that station. So you should be receiving those in the fullness of time.
And how can members organise that?
I think probably still.
Yeah, the station commander, local manager will contact you direct. We share the contact details with them and they will contact you direct, arranging with the information that the Chief just mentioned and arranging a suitable time for you to visit the station or the area to do research.
And while we're on that subject, Ruth, it might be more sensible to mention your little piece now in terms of your own personal engagement, what you've been doing with Western.
Absolutely. Robert and I share the champions
He's the on-call one and I am the cruise one. Why? I was given a fire engine. I think I did mention this before, but we've gone on since then. I've got 2 fire engines now. One is called Little Ron and one is called Big Ron. And why have I? An ambulance got stuck and couldn't get through when they were going to a patient. So they had to trundle. They couldn't get the people in the cars to move because they weren't in. So they had to trundle the stretcher to where the ambulance was. So residents contacted me. My ward is Wixon, Lawrence and St George's. And they contacted me and said, can you do something about this parking? So I was sitting next to our fire chief and I said to him, what does he think about me asking if I can go into Milton Avenue, which is the nearest to me, and ask them if they will come out and help me. Well, I didn't realise what they were going to do. Fantastic they've been. The Red Watch Commander Neil Carr and his team, there are 7 of them who come out with me. They've been out with me 6 times, and what happens is that we all clamber around the fire engine, and my parish clerk drives in front, and I drive behind, and we go round and see what roads are very narrow. The first time they came out at 10 o'clock in the morning, which in my view was the wrong time because everybody's gone to work and nobody's about. So we tried 2 o'clock. Just the same, but it was, by the time we'd finished, it was chucking out time and the kids were around, so there were a lot of cars, but we managed to get through. 3rd, 4th and 5th time was the evening, and I have to say we got stuck. So it's hilarious. I didn't plan it at all, but they rescued a cat which got stuck up a tree, which wasn't planned, and we also knocked on a lot of doors, and they travel around without their hats on and their coats when they're driving around, but when they go and knock on doors, it all goes on. Well, of course, when we're standing there, everybody comes out, and I think we had 1,500 Facebook shots, if you want to call them, to say, what's going on? So we explained that it was to do with parking and that the emergency services couldn't get past. Well, I have to say that I have nothing but admiration for my lot, because they come out, they're in the community, they speak to everybody. The latest thing is yesterday, they're coming out with me at a weekend. It probably won't be this weekend, but because the weekend is where people park. And what is interesting and that everybody should know, when you go and knock on a door and you say, you've parked your car here, the people look at you as if you're mental. And a couple of the crew said, now look, if your house was burning down and we couldn't get through because your car's parked there, what are you going to do? Oh, we'd move it. No, we haven't got time for you to come out and move it, we'll move it. You know, and everybody's suddenly decided that they're not going to park on corners, so it is working. Last Thursday, the police were involved. They came out with me, and they said that when we come out in the weekend with the fire engine, they will come with me. And my PCSO came out, and we showed him where the tough spots were. He removed a car because it was in the way. He just said, no, that car's going. He got it moved. And what's going to happen is that once we've done the weekend, we are going to contact the ambulance service. So there'll be the 3 services. And I'm going to try and get, I don't know whether it'll happen, yellow lines and bollards in the places where I know that the road is like this, and even if they don't park, it's difficult to get past. And the other important thing is I did put an opinion in the Mercury, which is the Western local newspaper, telling everybody, and I was asked would I do an article. So I've got 2 reporters who are actually, I've written it, it's gone to them. I don't know if it'll be in this week's Mercury, it might be in next week's, saying how fantastic the fire service is and what is happening. What is most important that everybody knows is that actually it's taking hold. The people in my ward, I can't speak for others, have said, well, this is fantastic. You know, the ambulance service is on track, they saw us out with the police cars, the 2 fire engines are out. Everybody knows that we're trying to do something. And for this authority, it is really important. You know, I'm so proud of it. I have never been on the authority before, as Donna will tell you. And for me, you know, what is happening in my ward, it actually is working. And well done, everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Also,
Thanks, Chair.
this is your car as they've moved. This is your car as they're moving.
I was just going to, following on from that, it just made me think that we've just done a fairly large piece of work in Bath relating to bus pinch points, and we're putting in a bid to WECA for quite a large sum of money. They've got 15 million for bus infrastructure. So we hope we get a good chunk of that. But it just occurs to me that maybe the fire service might have some ideas as well that could be contributed, and we could look at it all at the same time.
Yeah, I recently spoke to the Patchway station manager, and because officer, he basically had a problem, or one of the shifts had a problem in Cramble Road in Patchway, getting a fire engine up there. Strange enough, it's only a couple of hundred yards from the station itself, but even that, you know, is a problem. Had to try and actually get some people to move their cars, and it actually did cause a problem. And what they've done since, they've been out and they put notes through everybody's door. We're going to go back and have a look again to see, you know, that this is quite a common thing in lots of areas, especially at school time, when parents leave their cars, quite often parked on pavements and opposite pavements on the other sides, in roads where you can't have cars parked opposite each other because there's not enough room to come through. So you know, it is a regular sort of feature in a lot of different areas, and it would be nice to try and emulate what's been done there, but whether or not that will happen in my area, I don't know.
Well, the next piece of business is to welcome a new face to the table, which is Temporary Assistant Chief Fire Officer Steve Imrie. Did I get the rest of it? You did. Yes, so Temporary Assistant Chief Fire Officer Steve Imrie, who is helping us in the absence of Rob Davis. As you know, Rob's not here. So this is Steve. I'm sure you'll remember him for all the good work he's been doing in terms of our improvement board, and I'm really delighted that we've been able to fill this gap, you know, with something within the service, and I'm so pleased with that, Steve. So thank you. And the final piece of business is you may have received some reading from the FBU concerning the Grenfell Tower tragedy and their opinions on the first tranche of the investigation. Right, we now move on to item 5.1, which is minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Avon Fire Club held on the 18th of December. Are you here?
Chair, well, but just that under minute 53, if you like, I might just say a brief word about the Severn Tunnel incident. Would this be an appropriate point just to clarify what happened?
Is it a matter of accuracy, or is it a matter of...
Not exactly, it's an explanation.
Okay. Okay. So are we happy with these an accurate record? Okay, so we all Richard's proposing, I think. Seconder? Trevor? All in favour? Any against? Thank you. So, sorry, Neil.
No, thanks, no. I didn't imagine it all. I got to the bottom of this incident. The train did come to grief in the Severn Tunnel, and apparently what happened was they managed to drag it out to Severn Tunnel Junction station, and then all the passengers were evacuated, taken off the failed part of the train from there. So this is why it was that we haven't heard about it.
Okay. Thank you. So we now move on to item 5.2, meeting, the ordinary meeting of the Avon Fire on the 25th of September for reconsideration. I should pass to Dave Daycock.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies for bringing this back to you because you've already agreed it, but apparently there is an inaccuracy in the minutes themselves that hopefully members will agree, and that is set out at page 7, which is item 36, the last but one paragraph, where it stated that there would be voice-over versions of the film in many different languages. Apparently that was not said, and therefore we need to make the minutes accurate, and that entails you agreeing to delete that particular sentence. Again, only you as the authority can actually do that, so hence let's bring it back to you today. So hopefully members are happy to agree with that.
Okay, Commissioner, propose that. Seconder, please. Robert Payne. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Lovely, thank you. And I'm going to slightly amend the agenda, and then we're going to item 15.1, which is more minutes, which the monitoring officer advised me do not need to be covered by exclusion of the present public. So I'm going to ask if we're happy to accept those to record. Richard, proposing. Second, please. Ruth Jacobs, we all in favour? Thank you very much. Any against? No abstentions? Lovely, thank you. We'll go on to item 6 now, which is public access. Have we received any?
No items, Chair.
No, okay. And now we may move on to item 7, which is the revenue budget and council tax levels for 2021. I believe Martin Warburg will represent that.
Thank you, Chair. The primary purpose of this report is to provide members with the necessary information to enable them to set the revenue budget and council tax for 2020-21. The report is in line with the draft 2021 budget report that was presented to members in December and was subsequently approved to be released for consultation. And it considers two options: an increase in the council tax of 1.99% in line with the government's proposed referendum limit, which is below 2%, and the current level of inflation. And option 2 was no increase in council tax, i.e. a council tax freeze at the current year's levels. The report includes an appraisal of the two options, and this is set out on pages 6 and 7 of the report. Given the additional estimated savings of £0.6 million that would be required in 2020-21 under option 2, together with the cumulative impact of this amount not being included within the base of around about 2.2 million over the 4 years of the medium-term financial plan, this option is not recommended. The recommendations set out under paragraph 2 on pages 1 to 3 are therefore on the basis of option 1, an increase in council tax of 1.99%. Since the draft budget was presented to members in December, the government have announced the provisional local government finance settlement for 2021. Under the provisional settlement, the formula grant settlement figure has increased by £181,000 to £11.3 million, which represents a 1.6% increase, and this is in line with expectations included in the draft budget report in December. A written ministerial statement was laid in Parliament last week on the final local government finance settlement for 2021, alongside other key information. The figures in the final settlement are in line with those proposed in the provisional settlement, so there are no changes, basically. It should be noted that the final settlement still needs to be debated in the House of Commons, and this is now planned to take place after the House returns from recess. So it will be after members agree the budget for today. The Home Office have also confirmed that the pension grant will continue in 2020-21 at the same level as the current year, and we get about £2.4 million of pension grant. As approved by members in December, the draft budget for 2020-21, we get that wrong sooner or later, but was released for consultation, and there has been one response, which is attached to Appendix 9. The response was provided by the Chief Executive at North Somerset Council and does raise a concern over the level of reserves being deployed in 2020-21 and onwards, and this would not be sustainable in the medium term. Details of the anticipated reserves being utilised in 2020-21 are shown in Appendix 6. The main use of reserves relate to the planned use of the transformation reserve of £0.7 million. So we built up that reserve and had plans to use it in the forthcoming years. The utilisation of the Investor Save and Financial Pressures Reserve of £0.6 million, and that is in order to take advantage of an early payment discount of £60,000 on the deficit recovery within the local pension scheme. So within the local government pension scheme, there is a deficit, and we have to pay that deficit. We get the option of paying it over 3 years, or we can pay it up front and receive a £60,000 discount for the fact that we paid it up front. We have done cash flow projections, and it would be advantageous to take advantage of that. So what we are doing is that we are using the Investor Save Financial Pressures Reserve of £0.6 million in year one, but that will then be replenished in the following 2 years. So in effect, we're only bringing it forward, the use of it, and it'll be put back in the next 2 years. I think that makes sense. And also the last use of reserves is the anticipated use of the remaining government grant of £0.2 million, which has been received for the implementation of the Emergency Services Mobile Communications Programme. That programme has been delayed. It was expected that would have been used some years ago, but because it's been delayed, we haven't used the grant that the government has provided us. The grant can only be used for that purpose, but it's been sat in reserve until it's been used for the ESMCP programme. The Fire Authority is required to maintain the general reserve of working balance to allow for unseen or unexpected events that may occur during the year. If used, the working balance would need to be replaced in the following year. It is proposed to keep the working balance at £1.5 million, as previously agreed by the Fire Authority, which equates to around about 3.3% of the net budget. Sorry, got a bit of coronavirus, but we had. The proposed capital programme, as set out on page 17 of the report, identifies a number of potential spending pressures, the most significant of which are as follows. The Reinvesting for the Future project, which includes replacing 3 fire stations at Avon, Bath and Weston. The original anticipated cost of the project was £14 million, which was only an initial estimate of the cost. But as previously reported to members, the latest estimate cost is likely to be around about £20.3 million. Construction work has commenced at Avon, with Bath and Weston still in the early planning stages. A separate member officer working group has been established to consider major capital projects, including the various options for the redevelopment of both Bath and Weston, and the possibility of partnership arrangements to develop both these sites. Further reports will be provided to members as the plans for both Bath and Weston are developed. At this stage, it is prudent that the medium-term financial plan includes the capital financing costs of the additional £6.3 million. These costs will be reviewed as proposals for these projects are further developed. The proposed fleet programme for the 4-year period is £11.6 million, £2.5 million of which is in respect of slippage from the current year. As previously reported, this is substantially above the previously approved base programme of £1.4 million per annum. The proposed fleet replacement strategy is due to be considered by the Performance and Review Scrutiny Committee. Once that has been reviewed, the medium-term financial plan will obviously be reviewed to see whether these costs are still relevant. But again, it's prudent to include the £11.6 million within the medium-term financial plan until that is been determined. The report also contains a review of the services for which the Fire Authority is able to make a charge in accordance with Section 18 of the Fire and Rescue Services Act 2004, and these are set out in Appendix 7. Appendix 8 sets out the proposed charging rates for 2020-21 for those services where a charge would be applicable. Section 25 of the Local Government Act 2003 requires the Chief Financial Officer, Treasurer, to make a report to the Fire Authority on the robustness of the estimates, including the budget and the adequacy of the reserves for which the budget provides. My Section 25 report is set out on pages 19 to 21. In making their decision on the budget for 2020-21, including the adequacy of reserves, the Fire Authority is required to have regard to my Section 25 report. In summary, it is my view that the budget proposed is sufficiently robust for 2020-21 and that managers are committed to making the necessary actions to deliver the budget. The recommendations are set out on pages 1 to 3. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Chair. Interested in knowing what the latest thoughts are regarding timescale for rebuilding Bath, partly for its own sake, but also because we're looking at the possibility, well, we're having a big review of CCTV in Bath, which I think I mentioned before, and there could well be a tie-up there. So any further information you give to when it's all likely to happen, the better.
I don't know if the Chief can answer or Angie. Sorry, Chief.
Yeah, we're at the early planning stages in consultation at the moment, so we're still talking to staff, ambulance, Bath, and also police, and also gates, and I know about the CCTV controlling aspect of that.
Yeah.
So it's our intention to bring to the next one authority an update with reference to Bath, Western, which will give a bit more information, a bit more time frames, because we're still at that early consultation stage at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. But if you need any political assistance, please let me know, because it's in my portfolio area. Thank you.
I mean, I would add that I think these figures are probably worst case scenario, and I think we hope that we will be able to get some form of partnership arrangements. And with Western, I think we are looking at whether the site is in the right location and whether it can be moved. And in that case, there may be a capital receipt that would be generated from the disposal of the existing site, and therefore there may be some additional capital funding that would be available to assist this programme.
Richard Eddy.
Chairman, it's not a question. Have we moved on to the debate?
Yes, please.
Right. In which case, I was just going to say it does seem a bit like Groundhog Day reading this report, because in a way, although Martin's right to bring very confirmatory figures to us, of course, it's substantially the budget we had in December, which broader I was very happy with. Can I just say in summary, I'm not going to repeat what I said then, but in my view, the 1.99% precept increase is the only option. We clearly, even more than our parent councils, it's health and safety, safeguarding the vulnerable. So in my view, it would be irresponsible to opt for other than that. So that's what I'll be voting for, Jan.
I think that works out, my very poor maths, for a Brandy household, less than 3p a day. So I think it is what we get for that increase in money is, is well worth paying. Brian Hopkinson.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Fire Authority, we've been through the budget. If there had been an opportunity to have raised the budget by more, I would have been actually keen on doing it. The reality is, when you actually look at a 3.5% reserve and a 12-week, safety period. I mean, the reality is, if you look at local authorities, you look at parish councils, you look at what is considered to be a reasonable amount of money in the background as a safety reserve. It's generally about 25% of the budget you spend. So to have that 3%, I do believe that there was a situation when I got on the Fire Authority initially, that there was a comparison between different fire authorities around the country and what sort of reserves they had. And it just seems to me that we are, almost skating on very thin ice. That's, that's all I'm going to say.
I think it's a very genuine point. We're all very much aware of the fact that our reserves are very lean, and the money we've generated through our sale of headquarters has been spent and more in terms of the three vital bits of work we've got to do in refurbishing our three main fire stations, and also the pressures in terms of Bedminster and all the other ones we've heard about, which all need work. So I would agree completely. Our reserves are very, very thin, and I think we need to make sure we've got that minimum level available. And we did have a visit last Thursday from the Minister for lots of things, including fire. He came to Temple Fire Station on his way back to Temple Lead Station, replacing it here, which I won't mention. And we did point out to him what had been done by the sale of Temple HQ and the fact we showed it, that the new fire station at Temple, which is much more fit for purpose to serve our city centre location there, and did make those points around total funding, the difficulties we've got, and of course all the challenges we will no doubt have. And the FBU very kindly given us this document about the impact of Grenfell, and one can only envisage more duties falling on fire and rescue services nationally as a result of the outcomes of those various inquiries. The cost pressures on us are going to get more rather than less.
Thank you, Chair, for doing that, because the reality is, unless we actually say something to people, this is going to be continuing. And I just find it, we are trying to be as fit as we can, making sure that things are efficient, etc., etc. But as you said about Grenfell, etc., we are not, in a that good a position really financially. I don't believe.
No. Okay. Is there any more debate? Cover.
Not much debate, Chairman, but through you, Martin, you did mention the Chief Executive Law Solicitors Council response.
Yes.
I'm looking at it on page 37. There is a comment there about quite minor presentation. When I went back checking the table on page 14, I found there is actually a figure which is not bracketed as a negative, it's actually got a negative in front of it.
Oh, right.
So it's in the option 2 table.
Yeah.
In that chair, whether you second,
So we have I was going to ask, are we happy to take all any several recommendations from A to I on block?
Aye.
Okay, we have a recommendation proposed by Councillor Richard Eddy and seconded by Councillor Trevor Jones. Can I ask for a show of hands? All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, colleagues. Now move on to another. Sorry.
I'm really suffering over this icy lifestyle. I have to leave if we can't show this.
Well, do you want to move? Because I'm not getting it.
Well, it's really awful for me anyway. It's just, if I wanted to sit outside in the cold wind, I'd go outside. So, the next time I suggest we use another room or something.
So now we'll move on to the IRMP and service plan refresh. I think Justin Hobbs has been present.
Thank you, Chair and members. The purpose of the report that I've got in front of you today is to inform members on progress against the Foreign Authorities Service Plan 2019 to 2022 and seek approval for publication of the reviewed and refreshed draft document Plan 2020 to 2023. You may remember we went through last year a period of public consultation which lasted 8 weeks and covered our service plan. And within that we said that we would introduce a 3-year rolling plan which would be reviewed and refreshed on an annual basis. The document that you've got in front of you today has just been reviewed and refreshed. There are no new items contained within that, and as such it just provides our community and yourselves a progress report on that document. The initial document contained 30 actions, of which this document now provides a progress update against that. Within the review of the document in the last 12 months, we've also undertaken a review of the underpinning documents, which were our strategic assessment and also our operational baseline report. And those will be published in line with this document once approved. Just like to run through some of the key changes within the document to highlight to you. As I say, it's a refreshed document. There is nothing new, but under our managing risk section on page 11, previously we had a 5-stage approach to how we identified risk within the document. This has now been changed this year to a 4-stage approach. The reason and rationale for that was in 2018 we had an outside organisation come in to do a baseline report on us, which we published in line with this document last year. We felt that that wasn't needed on this occasion due to the currency of that document, but also the enhanced skills within the team to develop and put more information in our operational baseline report, which we are publishing alongside this. Next, our achievements section has been updated with the significant progress that has been achieved in the last 12 months, highlighting a lot of the good work that's gone on and a lot of the effort throughout the organisation, and also the areas of recognition from the Fire Minister and also the LGA, so that we're letting people know what our achievements have been within that period. And that covers the areas of preventing, protecting, responding, investing in staff, and collaboration. The next area where we've updated and refreshed the document is on how we're performing, and all the data that we previously published is in there, but we put the up-to-date information, so it's not changed, it's just the current information on our performance in the last 12 months. The next area where we've added into this document, and it's just to facilitate the ease of members of the public and our partners to understand the progress being made, and this is through our focus section that starts on page 24 and then progresses through the document. We've added an action status monitoring key which tells the community, tells the reader how we're progressing against what we said in the original document for 2019 to 2022. We've used a key and a colour coding so that we can put that alongside a progress update against each of the actions to inform people where we've made progress or where we've come across difficulties that have meant that we're slightly behind where we'd anticipated to be. But what we've done with that is been transparent and let people know the reasons and rationale in our progress update. Those progress updates come through the internal updates that we take on a quarterly basis to monitor our performance against the actual service plan. The layout of the document is slightly changed. I believe that this document is slightly easier to read than previously, so we've learned from that and built that in. There is an opportunity to make any minor changes if you've got any concerns or questions between now and the publication date, the 1st of April. But I'll bring it back to you, Chair, to say thank you for your support as well through this and see if there's any comments from any of the members.
Thank you, Justin. Richard.
Again, like the chairman, can I thank you for the work here? I noticed, and I note actually, it's been refreshed but not fundamentally changed. Can I ask, with the external consultation last year, were there any ideas which we didn't take forward, and if so, why? Or were they largely issues about, oh, we would want you making clearer, we are actually progressing?
The items that were taken forward and questioned during the consultation process, we looked at, we acted upon. So one of the key things that we're going to implement is the change to our response standards. We agreed to do additional monitoring on that, and that will be going live on the 1st of April in line with this document. And we've taken those considerations and the tool that we've built to monitor and report on to PRSC and again to the community about performance have been built into that. So we've taken that into account. In relation to the ease and reading of the document, there was a piece of work undertaken by Nottingham-Trent University looking at integrated risk management plans. And part of the feedback from that process was that members of the community find it difficult to read and understand some of the integrated risk management plans from services around the country. So we've looked at that to try and make it as simple and as easy for people to follow and identify those areas. In relation to that, there's one thing that I would like to point out to you. Within the paper, I mentioned that we had 2 items that would be completed before April when the document went live. In the last few weeks, there were another 2 items that have been brought on target and on track, so the document actually references us as having completed 4 of the actions, and that is to align with the work that will be in place and completed by April the 1st this year.
Thank you. Before I go on to the next speaker, can I welcome, I think it's Amanda, is that Amanda Cameron sat at the back?
Yes,
Our local
hi.
democracy reporter. Hi Amanda, thank you for coming all this way to hear us.
Oh, that's it. Well, I'm sorry I was a bit late.
Doesn't matter, thank you. Neil Butters.
Thank you, Chair. It's a great piece of work. I was just having a look at the key facts on page 9 and had a couple of queries there. One was that it says the longest population group is 15 to 29-year-olds. Sometimes these sort of figures can be a bit misleading because you find that there are bands of different widths. So I'm just wondering, what the other bands might be. I would have thought over 65 would probably be a pretty big one. The other one is, it says, 5th most visited city in the UK. Is that Bath or is that Bristol? Or perhaps we should be showing.
Yeah, very contentious now. No, it's Western Superman.
The city?
Yes, you've not heard. I'll have to leave Justin to give the tourism up.
It's actually pointing towards Baines.
Is it? I think it's Radstock and Midsummer North.
The data, sorry.
I would say it probably was Bath, but I mean, it'd be perfectly valid. Bristol must feature pretty strongly as well.
We've tried to take some of the key facts from the information within the strategic assessment, so it's kind of snapshot information that we put across and put into the report. We can update it and change it. We've got an opportunity between now and April to put any amendments into this document if we see fit or we want to tweak it or change it slightly.
I would suggest that was,
We'll make that really clear,
sorted.
so thank you.
Bath, of course, is only half of Baines in terms of population, almost exactly.
Like Western Superman and North Somerset. So with the exception of the tourism update, I think we're doing reasonably well.
Thank
But
you.
yours are tourism-related comments, or
I don't need to. I mean, Bristol's obviously the centre of the universe.
Yes.
So there's no argument
I
about
didn't realise that Mayor Rees was here with us.
that. Right, moving on. I was merely going to say I'd like to put on record that the way the objectives are laid out, the what, why, how and when, I think makes it very, very clear for anybody reading it, particularly any members of the public. It's a really good layout. It's very clear. So.
Thank you, Councillor. I'd like to place on record my thanks to the team for all the work here, led by Justin. It is a significant amount of work, as you can see. This plan is your plan, members. This is the Fire Authority's plan. It is essentially the joining together of what was the corporate plan and the integrated risk management plan into one single document, and that is incorporating the integrated risk management plan. So that's fully understanding our communities about who, what, when, where, how and why somebody is at risk. And this is essentially our plan under 2 priorities of making our communities safer and making our service stronger about how we're going to move forward in the next 3 years. And there are clearly laid out objectives under preventing, protecting, responding and resilience, which is making our communities safer, and investing in our people and improving our service, which is around making Avon Pharmacy service the best service that it can be in terms of improvement. So, the way that it's laid out is really important. It needs to be easy to navigate, it needs to be easy to understand, and it needs to be our contract with our communities. Thank you, members.
So thank you, Justin, and all your team for this. And I think certainly the object of making it a really understandable document, I think, has been achieved. The only thing I've got a slight problem is on page 5, there are 2 very dodgy characters surrounding a member of staff on that page. Apart from that, I think it's safe to go out to the public.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've got a recommendation here. Item 2 in the paper. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Fisher proposing, seconding. Brendan Massey, thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much, colleagues. We now move on to item number 9, which is our forward plan. I think, Assistant Chief Fire Officer Simon Shields will be presenting this.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Members, this is a standard agenda item. If I can draw your attention, please, to Appendix 1 of the paper. It sets out the business of the authority and the committees over the next coming year. And certainly if I can draw your attention to item 2 on Appendix 1 and item 3 and the business of the authority through those committees. In March, the Audit and Governance and Ethics Committee will be looking at the statement of assurance and approval, and the People and Culture Committee, a number of items there. The date for February 2020, shortlisting for the court role has taken place today, interviews later on this month. And of course the business for People and Culture throughout March will be the review, remuneration, chief officer, chief executive, pay policy statement and interviews for the treasurer's role. That will then feed into, if I could draw your attention to section 1 of Appendix 1, the business that will be brought forward to the next firefighter meetings. And as you can see there's a slight repetition in March 2020 for the next firefighter meeting, as that will be the business the committee moving forward. So it's for noting, members, and draw your attention to the business of the firefighter over the next coming weeks.
Do you have any questions, comments? I have one. I see that I've got Pete Davis sat in the audience. Peter, on the second page we have we now have dates for our HMICFRS second inspections. Could you just, some members were available at the meeting earlier, but not all. If you just do a refresh on the dates we're expecting our inspections?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Round 2 of HMICFRS inspection activity on site is the 22nd of June for discovery and the week commencing the 13th of July for field work.
Thank you, Peter.
And do you have someone visiting, observing in the next authority meeting as well?
Yes. Our service liaison lead will be observing the next authority meeting. Yes.
So we're asked to note that report. We note it. Thank you very much. And we now move on to item 10, which is the service delivery risk reduction update, which I think Simon Shields again is going to present.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Members, once again, this is a standard agenda item for the draw your attention to the work of the service since our previous meeting. It's not my intent to go through the whole report, but I will draw your attention to 3 specific areas. On page 2 of the report, section 3.8 on the 9th of December, production staff working with operational crews from Western Sydney Fire Station invited a number of people to attend a Christmas lunch at the station itself. There were elderly members of the community, and as you can see there from the statement, that provided a number of advantages. One, to build those relationships, around addressing potentially isolation in the community, as well as having an opportunity to talk and speak with very vulnerable members of the community, and hopefully from there have an opportunity to make referrals to other agencies in support, but also to visit them in their homes to give guidance and support for fire safety advice, etc. I'd also like to draw your attention to 3.10 on the technical fire safety, which will obviously continue as a service to monitor the impact of that. But the government has introduced a building safety and fire safety bill. The building safety bill and the fire safety bill 2019 and 20 was announced in the Queen's speech on the 19th of December. And once again, as a service, and our staff in the technical fire safety department will monitor the impact on that on the service. And how we will go and address that bill and the content of the bill, in particular in response to a number of inquiries that have taken place from there and various reviews. And finally, just quickly draw your attention to section 3.14 on page 3 of the report. We continue to work in partnership and collaboration with a number of partners across our city, and we've recently reinvigorated our partnership service level agreement, a memorandum of understanding with SORI, and we will now work more closely with them around partnership referrals particularly not only from community members with regards to safety in their homes, but also businesses as well, and working with businesses from a technical fire safety perspective around overcoming perhaps some barriers or misunderstandings with regards to business safety. So without going through all of the report, picking out every single item, just 3 key points I thought were worth noting for members' attention.
Do we have any questions, comments?
Yeah, I completely missed that we had a young person manager, actually.
Yes.
So that's news to me.
Yeah.
You just give us a rough, is it a full-time role, part-time role, what do they do?
So it's a full-time role. It's currently vacant. Unfortunately, the previous individual has occupied that post, has left and went on to other areas. He's gone to work for Baines, I think. We've got that post vacant at the moment. We're out to advert. But the role itself manages a whole team around children and young people, around school interventions and education.
Can you please ask where the old people's visit took place?
At the Western Superman Fire Station was the dinner that was held. There was a meal just before Christmas.
And you're planning to do that across?
Certainly we've done that at other stations in the past. Last year we did the homeless in the centre of Bristol and a very successful event there. So they do occur at various stations throughout the year. This one's gone on to produce other initiatives from there around how we engage and continue to engage with vulnerable people in the community, particularly in Western Superman and the elderly.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
The items for noting, are we happy to note or any further comments? Thank you very much. Now we're on to item 11, which is fire policies, which I think Assistant Chief Fire Officer Steve Ilby is going to present.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this is a standard agenda item for the meeting, members. It covers the period from the 22nd of November through to the 15th of January this year, summarising a number of incidents, but also the activity undertaken by our corporate comms team throughout that period.
Sorry, Neil.
So are you finished? Or?
No,
you can't.
I think he was drawing breath.
I was just going to make an observation.
Hold on. The recommendation for this paper, members, is for noting. I'll just draw your attention to a couple of pieces pertaining to the activity of our corporate comms team throughout the festive period. In particular, they ran the Christmas calendar social media campaign covering the 12 days of Christmas with a different safety initiative for each of those days. But also, under section 3.3, working with our crews in Avon, they acted as a centre point for the collation of donated presents, which were then delivered on Christmas Day to the Children's Hospital in Bristol. A few hundred presents there, collated and delivered at a very sort of particular time of the year, should we say. And I'll also draw your attention on page 3, section 3.8, to another sort of good news story to the degree. Back in 2003, the daughter of Winifred Tribe, who was an auxiliary firefighter during World War II, contacted the service and donated her British Empire medals for display in our cabinet in the old HQ. But obviously, following our move up to Port's Head, the daughter, Jenny Hughes, was contacted and was received the medals back from a special presentation undertaken by the Chief Fire Officer at Hicksgate Fire Station back in December. Other than that, members, I'll leave this.
So just a small observation of how things change over time. 3.6, crew mobilised to kitchen fire. Happened to be in Bath, but it could have been anywhere. You know, this is now a newsworthy event. Whereas, what, 30 years ago was probably commonplace, wasn't it?
Was it tourists, was it? Okay.
Could we just ask, was it a chip pen?
You weren't sure. We need to take the instant that was
What I expect you
It's increasingly less likely, actually.
Yeah.
Brenda Massey, you haven't got a culinary question as well.
No, you're right. I haven't been to Chiplands recently.
Okay, good.
I don't think we've had a full meeting since this happened, so I don't know where else to raise it. But I just wanted to comment on the long service medals presentation we had just before Christmas, which was fantastic. It was so nice to see so many people who've worked for such a long time. And thank you for inviting me, because it was an amazing evening. It was really worth going to. So,
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. We will develop that even further this year. So it's a great event last year, but it was mainly around long service and good conduct medals. And this year we will have a grander event, if you like, where we will celebrate teams and people's performance and those sorts of things. So and certainly around our culture and values for sure. So thank you for your considerations.
No, it's a really good event, so thank you. David Jacob, you've got a comment to make, haven't you?
Just to alert members, really, it'd be inappropriate to comment in detail on the matter, but the Henshaw and Strong prosecution is listed now for a hearing in Bristol Crown Court on May the 11th, so that matter is now progressing.
That demonstrates our regulatory as well as our fire prevention again. That we do follow through when there are fires which have some level of legal implications. The other point I'd like to make is a thanks to everybody in the service for last weekend, in which we suffered Storm Kira.
We're looking forward to Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace is coming. I thought that, thank you very much to the crews who are out there in desperately unpleasant weather. We had some quite challenging incidents today. Things that, as Chair of the Fire Authority, on behalf of we want to thank the crews for their hard work in difficult conditions. So thank you. This is the noting. Are we all happy to note? Aye. And we move on to item 12, which I think Chief Forester is going to present.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Is that the officer update?
Thank you, Chair. Members, before you is a paper partly for noting, partly for support in terms of decision, I suppose. It's an update in relation to principal and statutory officers, and to give you that position. It's a fairly straightforward paper, but I'll just cover some highlights and certain points if that's okay. So you'll be aware that we've had a temporary structure in place since 4th September 2017, and I think we now move to a position whereby we're able to crystallise that structure into a permanent structure. You'll be aware that we have had a chief and two uniformed assistant chiefs in place with a non-uniformed director of corporate services. And my proposal here is now we're in a position to crystallise that structure, as simple as that. And in that regard, as a result, as the Chair said earlier, of Assistant Chief Officer Davis's absence from the service, I've taken the step to temporary appointment of the Assistant Chief of Temporary Assistant Chief Steve Imbrie. I've also taken the opportunity at this time for consistency to move Simon across into the Director of Service Delivery role, and for Steve to take up the Director of Service Delivery support role, so that Simon is able to provide the coaching and mentoring for Steve in that regard. I've also taken the opportunity, because you'll be aware that the Director of Corporate Services role has been vacant for a period, and Angie Finney has had a foot in both camps for a period of time, and essentially undertaking both of those roles, and more over that time been undertaking the role of the Director. So I've taken the opportunity at this stage to temporarily appoint Angie as the Director of Corporate Services, or Interim Director of Corporate Services. I can do that under the scheme of delegation, section 3.2b, page 24 of your constitution, and for a period not exceeding 6 months. Now, obviously, that's just to update members in terms of that and provide you with that information. Also, members will be aware that we are in the process at the moment in terms of the authority statutory officers of Treasurer and Monitoring Officer. Those appointments are currently underway, if you like, in terms of that process. So it's just to provide you with all members in relation to an update in regards to that. Clearly that's a role that's been delegated to the People and Culture Committee who are undertaking that role, but it's just to update all members of the authority in terms of that progress. So that was it, really, Chair, just to offer those for consideration. And just to note that the People and Culture Committee met under Councillor Lake's chairing this morning for shortlisting for the clerk's position, which they'll be moving forward to for interview. And I think for the avoidance of doubt, because there are some in the area who seem to think otherwise, the person sat to my left, David Daycock, our interim monitoring officer, has not applied for and is not being interviewed for the job. I made that very, very clear, because rumours seem to have been circulated to the contrary, and we'll put it on public record, sat next to him, that is not the case.
Too busy.
My wife will let me. So we're asked for a variety of recommendations. I think this is rather noting. I'll ask for a proposal and second, if I may. Michelle and Neil Butters, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Lovely, thank you very much. We now move on to item 13, which is the date of the next meeting, which is the 25th of March here at 2 p.m. Are you all happy with that? All right, thank you very much. And as we have now avoided items 14 and 15 by already considering it, I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues.